Welcome to the video tutorial of Articulate Plus. My name is Barbara Fernandez. I am a speech-language pathologist, the CEO of Smarty Ears, the developer of this app. My goal today is to showcase not only the features on this app, but do a deep dive on the various ways you can use this app to support speech and articulation skills. So let's get started. As you can see on the main menu here, there is an entire section that allows you to add an infinite number of what we call players, but they're different children that need support with their speech. So I already have about 5 players here. I'm going to just show you how we add a new one. This is important for a few reasons. I'm going to actually go ahead and create my own. The first one being that if you are a parent and you have multiple children, you can create a profile for different children, and the app will actually monitor their speech and their progress individually. And the same applies for if you're an SLP. Each child will have their saved goals, their records, so you can over time showcase the progress and easily visualize the areas of need. I'm going to go get started, and I can see I can select one, but I can also, if I do a practice as a group, I can select up to 6 different children. Hopefully, you're not doing practice with 6 kids at a time. I'm going to go ahead and just showcase how we set up the very first session. So the app, as of today, has 4 activities. Our goal is to keep adding new activities so that you get a rich experience. As you know, speech therapy, when it comes to articulation, speech production requires a lot of repetition, and it can get boring. So we want to make sure that kids have access to a variety of different entertaining ways to achieve the production that we're seeking for that particular child. The very first thing I'm going to show you guys is flashcard. We moved away from the paper flashcard. Now we are digital flashcard. It automatically tracks the data. And I can select the goal for this particular child in 4 different ways, either by selecting the sounds, the phonemes, phonological processes, manner of articulation, or number of syllables. Now, if you're a family member, this is too overwhelming, just go to the sound section. And what you will see here is that we actually organized the sounds by a general idea of the age in which the children typically master these different sounds. So as you can see here, we can select 2, 3, an infinite number of sounds to practice at a time. I'm going to go ahead and just select 4 here. But before we go there, I want to just showcase and change here to a default theme. Then we go back and select our sound, and I'll explain to you guys in a minute what that's about. Now that I selected 4 sounds, I can select, do I want that sound to appear in the beginning and also the middle of the word, or at the end of the word? So for right now, I'm going to pick initial. Now, I've selected 4 sounds. So as you can see, I have H, which is, you can see here all the different words that are going to appear. But let's say that for some reason, this particular child is just starting to practice the sound, and she's not ready for a word like harmonica. So what we can do is, instead of selecting all of them, we can just say, I want this child to only work on 1-syllable words. And we select just 1 syllable. We select all when we get started. Now, here's my target word. We can see we have
mule,
the picture. We have a written word. We know the target is M, initial, meaning M in the beginning of the word. So the child said mule. We click on the checkbox, green here, to mark that they did it correctly. Now we go to the second word, mom, and he said good. Now it came to P, and maybe he said E. So he didn't do that word correctly. We press on the wrong button. Now notice that it's tracking the data over here, that out of 3 attempts, you see 2 out of 3, they got 2 correct. Now for kids, and this is an amazing thing on Articulate Plus, is
moo.
There are hundreds of built-in videos here that I can open up.
Moo.
And kids can actually get
Moo.
to see how each word is pronounced.
Moose.
Pigs.
As you saw, we can make it larger.
Pig.
Pink.
We have a variety of different amazing actors
Hat.
that recorded here. Now, let's move on to the next amazing thing on Articulate Plus. And I'm just showing you guys one of the activities. And we have 4 different activities to explore. Is not only we get words, we get also phrases.
A different hat.
And every single item here has a built-in audio
A different hat.
that kids can listen. And then whenever they master phrase, we go to a longer production.
Lily put her hat on her head.
And always showing which one is the target word here. In this case is hat.
Lily put her hat.
And if I track here, correct, on different word, phrase, and sentence, then we get to see the result on the data. If I click end session and I click on Barbara, view results, we can actually get to visualize. So today we practiced 15 words. We did flashcards. P, M, H, and W were the letters that we worked on. Then if I click on that particular session, I get to even see more details. So I get to see that the H, I can see the accuracy for H, then I can see the accuracy for M, and for P. Even though we have an overall accuracy, we can see that they, in this fictitious attempt, M is the sound where they were needing more support with. I'm going to go back here to also show you developmental milestones. So as you can see, we have here the sounds that were practiced. If it's mastered, meaning if they were reaching more than 100% accuracy, you can see the color H is in green. So, for next time, you don't need to practice H. You can focus on P and M. And then we have all the other sounds here, your beginning, your early developing, middle, and later developing sounds. And all of this you can visualize for Barbara. Just for comparison, speak a different student here. We have Leon, and he has had tons of different practices. And you can see how his preview looks very different from Barbara that just had one practice session. Let me go ahead and showcase more activities. This time I'm going to give you an example if I'm doing a practice with 2 different students. And in this case, I'm going to go back to flashcard. But notice that for Barbara, now I have this option here called repeat previous items. You can see the last session, it was on the 17th of August, and you can see the sounds that you already selected. So a lot of these students are not changing goals every week or every practice, right? So instead of having to reselect everything, you can just click repeat previous. Now for Leon, his last practice was on the 17th, and you can see his sounds that he's working on are completely different. So if I click repeat for him, we will also get to allow each different player or each different child to practice their own sounds completely individually. So for example, Barbara was working on P, and I'm going to say she got it correctly. Then Leon is going to take his turn. He's working on Z.
Xylophone.
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 We have our video audio there. Now, before we go on to the other activities, I want to show you guys something amazing, which is one of everybody's favorite feature on this app, which is the ability to change themes. Themes just give kids a slightly different visual experience to keep them motivated. I'll give you an example. Suppose that it is approaching Christmas. But we're still practicing the same sounds, the same words, but now we have some fun Christmas visuals and audio as you tap on the correct.
See the man.
So notice Barbara's still working on M. And if I show you there are some really cute themes, I'm going to go ahead to something like pirates. This really helps the kids stay engaged as they come back for more and more practice. Now, if I click on home, instead of starting over, I have the possibility of changing a game. So I'm going to go ahead and click change game. So now we actually get to do a matching activity, a matching game, while still working on specific sounds for each child. So for example, Barbara, I think is taking her turn now. She has to find and she has to say the word watch. Every time she says watch, you can track the data here. But we're also practicing
Whale,
different sounds.
hawk, pony,
I was not paying
moose,
attention.
maid,
Pot, wolf,
Let me
meat,
try
pig,
to
pot,
find.
pant, pork, pat,
hand,
mouse,
Watch it. There you go. She found that. And now Leon is going to take his turn with his own words and sounds. You see a bunch of Z words
Thousand.
here.
zipper,
And,
zebra, 30.
Instead of going through Leon, I'm going to show you the next game.
What does a unicorn have on top of its head?
Now we are at an activity called Guess What. Here is an amazing way to combine language skills with articulation speech production. Here we have a question. What does a unicorn has on top of its head? The answer is always going to be the sound that particular player is working on. Remember that Barbara, I believe, was targeting M, P, H, or something.
Horn.
So H here was the target word that we want her to guess. But a lot of the children that are working on speech production may also have an associated language support need. But even if they don't, it's always amazing to practice trying to guess the words, and we can make really fun games here. Now, if you notice that the theme here
What number do a lot of people think is unlucky?
is pirates. So we can also continue to change here to different themes. I'm going to showcase,
What
for
number
example,
do a lot of people think is unlucky?
is our princess theme. And I can,
13.
the student will say the answer.
What is a picture of a place or roads called?
And then
What
we get
is
to
a
mark
pattern of going
track
back
their
and
data.
forth?
If you don't want to automatically go to the next, you can always go to the settings, switch here, move to next only on touch, or not have transition sounds. You can explore the different settings here.
Zigzag.
But we know that this app is really flexible. I'm just going to show you guys another one of my favorite themes, St. Patrick's
What
Day.
is a pattern of going back and forth? Zigzag.
Which is a maze?
What is a scientific term for the part of your body where your chest is? What
And
is
then-
a scientific term for the part of your body where your chest is?
Here we are tracking
Which
data.
number comes after 0?
And remember, the data we are tracking here is for their production of the sound of the word that they are
1.
trying to guess. In this case, I believe was N in the middle of the word, and you track the data there. Now, I'm going to go to the next activity, click Change Game.
Initial P.
And now we are taking that to a whole new level, which is stories. On flashcard, you get word, phrase, and sentences. Here, we get stories, which will allow them to practice producing these different speech sounds in connected speech, which we know is another level of difficulty. We have stories for every single sound. As you can see, Barb is working on P. She has access to the story with beautiful
Pete's
graphics.
Papa is a pirate.
There is audio for every single word.
What is Pete's Papa?
And there's always questions, not only where you can use this for comprehension, whether they were reading or whether they were just practicing phrases in isolation. You can
Medial P.
go to medial P
Final P.
or final P. And regardless of how you track the data here, all of this is being tracked and you know specifically how they are progressing towards mastering of their goals. Now, I'm going to end the session here so that we can go back to Barbara and view results. Because look at how much more populated now I have because I've done all of the different activities on the same day. So we can see that now some of the data has changed, and you can always click on each one individually to get a better view of her speech development towards to reaching her goals. I'm going to show you also an activity of generating certificate. Suppose that Barbara was working on M and she actually mastered, meaning she really has been consistently accurate in producing initial M sound at the word level. We want to reward Barbara for that, and we can generate a certificate. So that certificate gets generated and it gets saved on her profile where you can print and send home. There's built-in homework PDFs that you can print also and send home as homework practice. There's also the ability here on the settings to make a ton of modification. The first one is if you want to just, instead of tracking with approximations, meaning, well, they kind of did it correctly, or maybe they did it with a cue. You can also use straight, they produced it correctly or incorrectly. You can customize that. Transition sounds, meaning that sounds in between the different words. But let's take a look at adding custom words. If I click on the plus button here, suppose the child name is Victor and they need to work on R. You can type in the name Victor. You can type in a phrase. You can record that phrase. You can add a photo, so you can take a photo to put it here. You select the sound R, and this is the final position. Victor has 2 syllables, and whenever that word is added to the system, then Victor gets the custom word applied as you're doing different practices. This is very important for kids practicing their own name or a particular word that it's not here on the library, even though we have hundreds of, close to over 1,000 words on this application. This is the overall view for Articulate Plus. It's available on the App Store. It's compatible not just with the iPad, which is where I'm showing you, but also with the iPhone. And you can also use all of our iOS apps on MacBooks, which is an amazing addition that Apple has recently released. Just go ahead on the App Store. Either you search by Smarty Ears, which is the developer name, or directly on the app name, Articulate Plus.